We here at Ebike Escape have started to know Ride1Up as the brand that when they offer an e-bike to a customer, they're gonna give you every dollar of value that they possibly can out of that e-bike. And the Ride1Up Prodigy here really kind of proves that point, as this was one of the first budget-oriented mid-drive electric bikes to be offered at the price that this comes in at. So in this review, we're gonna do a close-up look at all the componentry that makes up the Ride1Up Prodigy. I'm also gonna try and in the first-person riding footage I'll do after that, it really explains to you guys why a mid-drive bike is either the right choice for you or the wrong choice for you. Then we're also gonna put this German-engineered mid-drive motor to the test up our hill climb test. And after that, I'll give you a nice, easy-to-swallow conclusion about whether we recommend the Ride1Up Prodigy to you. So let's take a closer look. If you are a frequent viewer of the channel, you will know that this is not our first look at the Ride1Up Prodigy, but this is our first look at the Ride1Up Prodigy ST. As previously we looked at the XC model, which is their more mountain bike version or off-road version of the Prodigy here. Some differences between those bikes is that the XC comes with a air front fork as well as no fenders or rear rack, whereas the XR and ST, this is the ST, the XR is the high step version, comes with the same specs that you see here, just with a high step version. Now I hinted a little bit before that the Ride1Up Prodigy was a budget mid-drive bike. Well, that means that the XR and ST, as seen here, come in offered at $19.95, with the XC, the mountain bike version, because of that air fork, coming in just a little bit higher than that. Now, along with those two different frame options, there are also some different color variations. All three of the models, the XC, XR, and ST, are offered in this gray. The other option for the step through here is a nice chalk white. And then the XR and XC are both offered in a chameleon paint job, which is like a purple, green, blue kind of wave that changes depending upon the light. Beautiful paint, but there is also a little bit of an upcharge for that. I believe it was about $50. Thanks to this step-through frame here, the Ride1Up Prodigy ST has a height range of 5'1" up to 6'3", and the high step frames on the XR and XC have a height range of 5'6" up to 6'4". And all three of those frame variations for the Ride1Up Prodigy have a total weight capacity of 300 pounds and a total weight of 58 pounds. That is battery and everything included. Now, with that overview of the Prodigy frames and other options out of the way, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the componentry. And the first thing we're gonna start out talking about has gotta be these brakes. This is one of the first upgrades that we noticed on the newer Prodigy compared to our older XC model. And that's gonna be that Ride1Up upgraded to these Tektro Orion 4-piston hydraulic brakes. These are gonna provide a lot more stopping power, and they also clamp onto a 180mm Tektro front rotor. While we're also up here in the front, you will notice this metal front fender, which is a pretty far down wrapping fender, nice for commuting, which is what this bike is gonna be geared towards. With that commuting in mind, Ride1Up picked these Schwalbe G1 speed tires. These are a fairly smooth treaded tire, but they will be able to provide some nice grip, especially when you're on those commuting roads or bike paths. Holding that wheel in place, we have a rigid front fork, and then you also notice up here in the front, we have a quick release front wheel. So if you needed to, say, take the front wheel off for transportation, it is gonna be easy to do. Working our way up the fork here, we have this 80 lux Bushel always on front headlight, complete with nice reflector on the bottom end. Working our way up here to the cockpit, here's a look at the Tektro Orion front brake lever. You will notice that this does not have a motor cutoff. That's gonna be because this is a mid-drive motor. It's going to easily be able to quickly cut power, so we don't feel that they are needed. I haven't had any problems in my riding of this bike already dealing with that. Here we have a look at the somewhat ergonomic locking grips. We have a Brose display on the left hand here. We'll come back to that. And as we work our way across, you will see that we have a little bit of a swept back angle to these handlebars, put you in a nice, comfortable, upright position. And as we come to the right side, the first thing we have to point out is gonna be tucked under here nicely is this 9-speed trigger shifter. This is a Microshift Advent shifter. Microshift is a brand we're starting to see more and more. I'm actually running them on my mountain bike. I've had no problems beating those up. Coming back over, let's go ahead and talk about the display. So to turn the bike on the top of the display here, there is actually a power button you will press and hold, and then the display will come on, natural riding Brose. On the bottom here, we actually have two buttons located right here on the bottom of the display, as well as a up and down button over here for your plus and minus for going through the pedal assist. So starting in the upper left, you will notice that there is a headlight icon. That headlight is always on, meaning as soon as you turn the bike on, the headlight and taillight will turn on. You cannot turn those off. Then in the upper right-hand corner, you will see the word boost currently, or sport, tour, or eco, or even off. That is going to be your pedal assist level. Just below that, you have your mile per hour. Located just below that, you have your current trip. And then on the left-hand side, you will notice the LED bar. That is in relation to how much charge you have left in the battery. To cycle through your pedal assist levels, you use the up and down button. And then just above that to the left, you push that button and it'll cycle that lower infograph there. We can go to total trip time, average speed, max speed, odometer, cadence and RPM for what you are currently putting into the motor, average cadence, max cadence, power wattage, that's what the motor is currently putting out, the average power that the bike has put out, the max power the battery or the bike has put out. Then you have a range, which is going to be based upon which pedal assist level you are in, the current time, and then back to your trip. Now, if you're like me, the first time you cycle through that, you're like, wow, that's a lot of options. There is actually a way to simplify that menu, as well as kind of change the brightness, units of measure, and kind of play with the display a little bit. By holding the button on the left, you get into this area, which is where you can get your total trip information in one nice, easy to digest screen. Or you can go to reset, where you can reset, say, your current trip time. You can go to your settings here, and you can change the language, Bluetooth, where you can Bluetooth into a phone for the Brose app. You can change the screens. This is where you can pick between two different versions of the screen. The basic one has all the text, and then the sport one relies on a few more pictures. But within that, you can screen active. That'll tell you if that dot is highlighted on the right, if this is the screen you're currently using. You can turn off range, clock, trip. You can eliminate some of those settings so that maybe if you don't need your average cadence or average power or anything like that, you can eliminate those from the menu. To go back, you'll push the button on the right. Like I said, you can also activate the sport menu there, which instead of it giving you as much text, it's going to have some pictures. And then below screens, we have display, which this is where you will turn up your brightness, as well as you can turn on and off this automatic function. What that means is that in the lower right-hand side here of the Brose display, there's actually a light sensor. So if I go ahead and turn that on and I hold my thumb over this sensor for a minute, you'll actually notice the display will automatically darken. And that's going to be nice for if you're ever riding during the day and then into the night. You're not going to have that bright, blinding display. And when I take my finger off, it will automatically re-brighten as well. Then you can go down here and you can pick between essentially what's light or dark mode, white or black screen. I prefer the black screen. Then you have system, which you can change your units of measure, your time, format for the clock, your battery status, whether you want that in a battery percentage or in just those LED bars. Let's go ahead and turn on battery in percentage there. You can adjust your clock if you never needed to. How long the bike will stay on is your shutdown time. And then you can also reset all these settings to default. And then if we scroll past system, we have information and service, which are going to be just general information about the bike and display. So overall, the Brose display here is a fairly in-depth display. It's got a lot of functionality kind of built in and tucked into it. Maybe not as much customizability as we've seen in other displays, but being that you can turn on battery percentage like we have here, as well as that little light sensor, is a pretty cool function. Working our way down from the cockpit, next thing we should talk about is going to be this nice step-through frame we have here. It's got a lot of room for you to get your foot up and over. It does have some bottle cage bosses located back here on the left. And just a quick note, if you do put a lock or even a bottle cage here, you will be losing some of that step-through height. So we offer a product on our shop.ebike store. It's going to be a anywhere cage, which allows you to mount kind of bottle cage bosses anywhere on this top two or even down here on this lower one, so that you could still maintain some of that step-through height and still maintain an ability to mount a water bottle or a folding lock per se. Now, located nicely down here in this lower tube is going to be our battery. On the left-hand side here, you will note a battery charge port. This is so you can charge the battery on or off the bike. The Ride1Up Prodigy does come with a 2-amp charger. Now let's go ahead and pull that battery out. In order to get the battery out, on the driver's side here of the bike, you have your lock tumbler down here on the bottom. You're going to twist the keys up towards the front of the bike, and the battery is actually going to flip down here. And there's a little metal prong here that you're going to push up on, and then the battery is going to fall down and out. Now, I did have to push up on the battery a little bit to get it out. Then the battery kind of comes out. The plug for the battery is on the top, a little bit different than what we've seen for some other batteries. This battery is a 36 volt, 14 amp hour battery, which comes out to a 504 watt hour battery. Now, I know what some of you are out there thinking is, oh, 36 volt, not very good. Trust me, when you have a mid-drive bike and you have a torque sensor like most mid-drives have, you're able to get a lot more range out of that battery, as well as the power doesn't seem as low as it should seem on paper, as the way a mid-drive motor provides power is completely different than a hub drive motor. I will do my best in our first person riding footage to kind of explain some of those differences as well. It's a little hard to get that across on camera. On the side of the battery here, tucked up underneath this plastic bottom frame protector here, we have 5 LED bar there for battery percentage. If you have to plug the battery in when it's off the bike, this is where you would charge it at. And other than that, it is a Samsung cell battery, meaning that it should provide you a quite long life. To get the battery back in, you will tuck the front up in first and then slam the back. I always like to give the battery a little bit of a tug. Then once you've got it all clicked in, you can remove the keys. You can actually remove the keys before that. The keys are only needed to remove the battery. They are not needed to power the bike on or off. And while we don't recommend it, if you do happen to get caught in any storms, the Prodigy is IP65 rated, meaning it is water resistant and shouldn't have any problems in that sort of environment. Located below the battery here, we have a look at the Brose TF Sprinter motor. This motor claims to be putting out somewhere close to 80 Newton meters of torque. We'll be sure to put that to the test. Here we have a Wellgo pedal. And then located nicely in here on the rear chainstay, we have the Brose speed sensor as well as magnet, the matching 4-piston Tektro Orion rear brake caliper. I can't wait to put these to the test in our first person riding footage. Above that, we have a look at this fairly robust and nicely equipped rear rack. This does have a really nicely integrated LED rear tail light. Now this is not a brake actuated tail light. It simply just illuminates or does not illuminate, but it's nice that it is included. We have some nice pannier hangers here on the side, and this rear rack has a total weight capacity of 40 pounds. Coming around to the other side here, here's a look at the rear drivetrain. Like the Cockpit, we have a Microshift Advent rear derailleur. This derailleur gets to shift the chain over this 11 to 34 tooth rear cassette. Really like seeing that 11 tooth and as well as a cassette, so you can change it out if you ever needed to. And then coming up here to the front, we have a single-sided metal chain guard that covers a 46 tooth front chainring. One thing we've noticed Ride1Up does a lot is they add some small little touches. You notice here we have a Ride1Up rear chainstay protector that has some writing on it. It says take your riding to the next level. And then located just above that as well, we also have a shift sensor. So what that means is that if you're ever getting a lot of power out of the motor and you say shift, that shift sensor is going to cut power to the motor to allow you to really get the maximum amount of life out of your chain and cassette. And then working our way up to probably the component that you will touch the most, if not the handlebars, is going to be the Selle Royale Viento seat. This is a pretty comfortable seat. I have no complaints. It's got that nice little breathing room there to help you get you some airflow, as well as it has a fairly cushy top. Now, seats are definitely gonna be something that every rider is gonna feel differently about, but I have had no complaints about this seat. Now, that pretty much wraps up the component overview of the Ride1Up Prodigy. So how does it ride, and is a mid-drive e-bike right for you? Let's go ahead and throw to some first-person riding footage and talk about it. All right, here we are at the first-person riding footage for the Ride1Up Prodigy. This part of the review, what we're gonna try and do is get across to you on camera as best we can about how this Brose mid-drive motor handles nice flat terrain. After this, we'll put it to a hill climb test. So if you're looking for that, be sure to pay attention to that. So currently, if you turn around and look, we are on this nice crushed gravel path, but it does have some snow coverage. So the weather has changed a little bit here in Wisconsin from the initial review. And yeah, so we are gonna have probably snow hanging around for the rest of the for the foreseeable future. Currently, we are in Eco, and we are in the easy skier in the rear. It looks like we're maintaining a pretty easy cadence here. I do have a cadence meter pulled up on the display, which shows me doing about 67 RPMs on my legs. I'm gonna try and keep the same cadence because, as you know, with torque sensors, as you put in more effort through your legs, it's gonna amplify that power and come out as more power from the motor. So trying to keep that cadence as consistent as possible for you guys. About 7-8 miles an hour. A little bit of tree coverage is going to cause the GPS kind of to jump around. Just be mindful of that. But Eco, nice easy cadence, easiest gear in the rear. I could probably shift up here to second gear. And yeah, just a nice easy pedaling here. And that motor is just really helping assist. And this is, Eco is definitely set up for nice flat terrain. Go and kick it up, pedal assist level to tour. Again, keeping the same cadence. Looks like 9-10 miles an hour, so we got another 2-3 miles an hour out of it. One thing that we try and get across in these videos when we ride mid-drive e-bikes is just how nice they are to pedal. Now, this bike does not have a throttle, so this could in some places be considered a class 1, but because of the speed it's capable of a class 3 speeds via pedaling. We'll put that to the test once we get to a little clearer part in the path up here. But mid-drive bikes just provide a much more natural pedal experience. Makes it very nice from a avid cyclist or somebody that has cycled in the past experience. But yeah, as I was saying, it's just overall, it's just a nice approachable experience. It doesn't provide too much power. It doesn't make it too fast that it's uncomfortable. It just kind of allows you to put in whatever effort you want and just get a little boost to say maybe if you're trying to get up a hill or maybe not work as hard, say you're trying to get to work. So I would probably shift up here at about 9 miles an hour. I'm in third gear now. We do have 9 gears in the rear, which is a few more than we typically see. So doing about 11 miles an hour here. Probably kick it up again a little bit. And yeah, like I said, I shifted up into fourth gear now, I believe. And again, 9, yeah, there we go. Now the trees are gone. Looks like about 11 miles an hour. I can probably shift up again. Yeah, it's just a really nice pedaling experience here. Down and get across the street a little bit. And that path changes to a little bit of a nice paved path here. So there we go. We don't have to deal with as much snow now on this blacktop. We are back into fourth now on the rear cassette on this nice paved path. And again, 12 miles an hour, and we were only in technically pedal assist level 2, which is going to be tour on this bike. And still keeping that 75 RPM cadence, not working too hard. Go ahead and kick it up into sport pedal assist level. And almost instantly you feel the power take over a little bit, gives you an extra little kick. And I would have to shift up now into, I'm in about 6th gear and 13, 14 miles an hour. Very nice cadence here, not working too hard. And I would probably even shift up again. So yeah, here we go. Now our cadence now is about 60, 63, there we go. And we're doing 14, 15 miles an hour. Let's kick up pedal assist level again. Now we're in boost, which is the highest pedal assist level. And this is about the pedal assist level where we are going to be able to get into that 20 mile per hour top speed, where we'll also be able to put those 4-piston textural hydraulic disc brakes to the test. Now, one main consideration for mid-drive e-bikes is that the chain and cassette are going to get a little bit extra wear because the power is being transmitted through your legs, through the chain, through the rear cassette, then to the rear wheel. Whereas a hub drive bike, all of that power is going straight from the motor to the wheel. So there's a lot less componentry in between the power getting from the motor to the ground. But myself being a person that likes cycling, I don't mind that little bit extra trade-off. And with the shift sensor, that's going to help extend the longevity of those components by not providing power and shifting at the same time. So like I said, we are almost in that top gear here. We are in 8th, now we are in 9th. So we are in that smallest tooth gear in the rear. Let's go ahead and see what this motor is capable of. Doing 20, 21, and my cadence is about 60 RPMs. So I'll be sure to let you know what cadence my legs are at to be able to get us up to that 28 mile per hour speed. Here we go, 24 and a half, 25, we're doing 73, so almost, okay, 26 miles an hour, 75, it's 27, there we go, 28. I'm putting a decent amount of pressure on my legs to get up to that speed, but my RPM is only about 80 RPM, so not much more than I was putting in before, but definitely putting in some extra effort to get up to that 28 miles per hour. But the bike is capable of doing that, and that is very impressive considering that on paper, this motor is listed as a 250 watt, 36 volt system. It is capable of getting me up to that 28 mile per hour without batting too much of an eye. Very impressive. Now, I know I just showed you this bike was capable of getting to 28 miles per hour while already pedaling, but from a stop, what does that look like? So I shifted all the way down to the easiest gear and I'm still in boost. And let's see how quickly we can get up to that 28 mile per hour top speed. There we go. Again, feeling that shift sensor cut power every time to help extend the longevity of that rear gear. 16, we got 17, 18, 19, 21, and not working too hard. If you hear I'm not out of breath, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 miles an hour. Now it is capable of getting up to that. There we go, 27, almost 28 miles an hour there. So while it is capable of getting you up to that speed, it does take a little bit extra work to maybe get you past the 26 mile an hour point. But overall, it's a very nice experience getting up to even that speed of 26, 27 miles an hour, and you work that little extra speed. Now that we've seen what this bike is capable of on flat ground, let's see what it's capable of up our hill contest. This part of the review, what I'm going to show you is what this motor is capable of up a hill climb test with a rider my size on it. I am a 225-pound rider. So, and we will also put the specs for the hill on the screen now. Go ahead and get turned around. Now we are facing going up the hill. And here we are. We are in the easiest gear, and we are also in the lowest pedal assist mode, which on this motor and drivetrain system is going to be Eco. I would probably shift up as my legs. There we go. Okay. Probably, you know, not too low down on the gear range in the rear. There we go. It's a nice easy cadence here, just trying to get up this hill. Yeah, putting a lot of pressure on my legs here. I would probably kick up pedal assist level to Tour. Yeah, there you go. You get a little bit extra power there. Definitely felt it take a little bit of the load off my legs. And one thing that I don't know if I did a good job explaining of the first person riding footage of this video is that the way a torque sensor works is it measures the actual pressure you're putting into your feet, not just how quickly they're rotating. So I'm trying to keep the same amount of pressure being put in by my legs pushing down so that you get an idea of how much I'm working to get up this hill. Also, a quick note with that, the weather has shifted a little bit here, starting to get cold in Wisconsin. As we are a 4-season state, unlike some of you lucky folks out there that just get summer all year round. So I'm a little congested, a little sick. So please don't judge how much I'm out of breath at the top of this hill. That's just, I'm a little getting over a little sickness, a little cold. So, all right, here we go. Tour, hill's really getting ready to start. Still only in the second smallest gear in the rear from the biggest one. So I'm in the second biggest, and yeah, starting to have to put a lot of pressure in here on my legs. I'm going to kick up pedal assist level. Sport, instantly feel more power come on. Looks like, I don't know if you're able to see the display over here, but it looks like it says we're doing about 8 miles an hour, and obviously the GPS says 7. There we go, bouncing up to 8 there. Pretty easy cadence. Again, trying to keep the same amount of pressure on my legs. This being only listed as a 250 watt motor, it's very capable, as well as it only being a 36 volt system. No complaints out of this system. Go ahead and kick it up all the way up to boost now. Again, felt even more power come on. My legs instantly got eased off of needing as much pressure. There we go. 8 is solid 8 miles an hour now getting up this hill. And overall, it's a nice, easy pedal experience to get up this hill at, 7-8 miles an hour. It's carrying me right up. I'm not having to work too much. Even being congested, having a little cough like I do, it's getting me right up it. Yeah, no complaints. This is a very nice system. Again, we're in the top pedal assist level, and I'm in the second largest gear over here on the shifter side. Yeah, and then here we are at the top, 9 miles an hour. Pretty good experience. I like that getting up the hill. If you are a person that likes to pedal a bike, likes to ride a bike, this is going to be the best one for you. Now, normally this is the part of the review where I would go back down, come up the hill again, but there's no throttle on this bike. So what we're going to do now is between these reviews, I typically test out the brakes, but I'm going to bring you along with me, show you what these brakes are capable of. Now, this is one of the upgrades Ride1Up put on this bike, this version of the Prodigy. They upgraded to 4-piston front and rear brakes. So we're getting up to 26, 28, yeah, somewhere at about 30 miles an hour, and just a little bit of hand effort there. You do have to be careful you don't lock the wheels up because it's very easy. And yeah, this thing just slows right down, no problem. Very easy, not putting a lot of pressure with my hands. Obviously if it was, any hydraulic disc brakes are going to be super nice, but these 4-piston ones especially are, yeah, zip you right down. So that pretty much wraps up the riding portion. Let's go and throw to some third-person riding footage, show you how I fit on this bike, as well as give you maybe a pros and cons list about whether you should consider the Prodigy ST.
Upon initial release in the first part of 2022, we tested the Prodigy's XE version, which is more of an off-road trim, meaning no accessories and a suspension front fork. We were extremely impressed with the Prodigy then, mostly because it challenges the notion that a quality mid-drive e-bike can only come from a high-end or big box brand, and it even further challenges that status quo with an impressive spec list and a sub $2,000 price tag. But it has been over 18 months since that initial release, and as Ride1Up does, they have been subtly upgrading, making changes to the Prodigy model. So we wanted to take a fresh look, this time at the step-through version of the frame, as we know the XE version is not really for everyone. So how is it held up? Spoiler, it's still great. Now, to give a little perspective for that sub $2,000 price tag, be sure to check the link in the description for the best current price. There are very few other options out there. However, if you spend $1,000 to $2,000 more, you can get an e-bike from brands like Trek or Specialized. But will it be any better? In my opinion, maybe, but only marginally. And for someone who doesn't need that special local bike shop support, Ride1Up offers some great bang for your buck. The Prodigy's package starts with a German-made Brose TF motor, 9-speed Microshift drivetrain, and now 4-piston tetrahydraulic disc brakes. And unlike the XC version we reviewed before, the step-through and high-step version, the XR, give you a more commuting/leisure riding outfitting, which means it comes with some very nice street-treaded Schwalbe tires, metal fenders, rear rack complete with an integrated rear brake light, and an always-on 80 lux front headlight. So really, the Prodigy is outfitted and ready to ride out of the box. Speaking of box, one thing that we used to have to make known to potential Prodigy buyers was that there is a slightly increased assembly required. But with the newest version of this model, that extra assembly is gone, not requiring more than our very typical handlebar, front wheel, fender, and pedals installed to be ready to ride. Now, when looking at the specs of any e-bike, but most specifically on the Prodigy, there are two standout items that I imagine most people are going to be concerned with. That's going to be the motor and battery, which of course, this is an e-bike after all, but the specs for those items on paper maybe look a little bit less competitive. But in practice, the 36-volt Brose motor system and 14 amp hour battery are very capable. The 90 newton meters of torque that the motor makes made short work of getting me a 225-pound rider up our hill climb test and up to that class 3 28 mile per hour top speed. And that battery, while low in capacity compared to hub drive motor e-bikes, is very on par with mid-drive e-bikes. And thanks to the mid-drive motor's efficiency, you shouldn't have any problem getting well into that 30 to 50 mile range estimate that Ride1Up provides. Some other things to keep in mind with the Prodigy step through is that while the XC model we tested did come with a nice suspension front fork, the step through forgoes that choice for a rigid front fork, and you get more accessories, definitely leaning more towards that on-road use case. If you have more of a budget and want a higher spec model, I do recommend you check out the Prodigy V2 though. And like most mid-drive e-bikes, the Prodigy is going to feel more like a normal push pedal experience, requiring a little bit more leg effort versus the typical cadence sensor that we see. And also in that wheelhouse, there is a lack of a throttle, which means that all terrain, including hills, are going to require you to pedal to get power, making this e-bike more matched for maybe a returning cyclist or someone looking for more exercise while on an e-bike. If you think the Prodigy is for you, please consider purchasing one after clicking one of our links down below. All purchases made after clicking any of those links is a free and easy way to help show us support here at E-Bike Escape. Overall, I think the Prodigy is a great e-bike for anyone who likes pedaling and really likes the feel of riding a bike, but is also comfortable purchasing from a direct-to-consumer brand, understanding that there is an inherent undertaking associated with that. Is there a better mid-drive e-bike on the market? What do you think of the lack of a throttle? Let us know in the comments down below. And until next time, ride safe everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.